Hi, good morning. Hello, Sharon. Welcome to the IAmMe podcast. Oh my goodness, I'm absolutely glowing to see you this morning, that's for sure.
Well, I'm always glowing every time I see you, Wendy. I think we said before, every time I see you, we go up a notch, and I just get super excited to kind of feel the support that you've given me over the last couple of months, and it's been absolutely amazing. Thank you.
And thank you. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you've just had a huge impact in my life and my family's life, actually. So thank you, Sharon, for everything. So today we're here with the amazing Sharon Remington. And she has, as similar to me, she was like a high-flying corporate woman, absolutely in the, let's call it the management of the world, conforming, but absolutely high-flying in that corporate world. And then she had a light bulb moment. And then she was like, I need to find me, and I need a journey to me, and it really embarked on that journey towards herself. And lo and behold, she then stepped out of that vortex known as corporate and started IAmMalright.com, which we actually heard you create that name during our EFT practitioner training. You actually, because you kept saying when you walked in there, I'm all right.
I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm okay. Which is what everyone says when they're going through struggles mentally, emotionally, physically. You ask somebody if they're all right, and they always say they are, but they're not.
It's so funny because I remember specifically sitting opposite you and you going, I want to learn this, but I'm all right, And then that's when you said, that's what I'm going to name my business, because we were all like, and it was just amazing. So, and look at this, you're now, how many months in?
I'm actually 1 month in. Kind of the beginning of September was when I was properly kicking this off. But I've been manifesting this for a long time, since the beginning of the summer. I've been doing some work. I didn't kind of think I was ever going to leave corporate. I mean, I've had many different roles over the years of corporate, all the pressure. And it got to a stage where I was thinking, who am I trying to please here on a day-to-day basis? It certainly wasn't me, when I was thinking deep down, and I just felt like I'd lost me. I was just saying yes to everybody when it should have been no. And, I was just on the rat race, probably about to suffer extreme burnout. So I was brave enough and had the support around me to be able to just leave.
Wow. I mean, it's a very common story. I mean, similar to mine. And I know there's many, many other people out there with a similar story, but we've been, I suppose, brave and supported enough to just walk out into the big wide world, which actually is really scary. But when you do it, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what it's going to be like. You're worried about financially. How are you going to cope? What are you going to do each day? What does your routine look like? What is your structure of your week going to look like? Because, you don't need to be sitting at a desk for X amount of hours a day. You don't need to ask if you can go to lunch. You don't need to be, watched. Am I able to get up and make another cup of tea or another cup of tea? And having that freedom, it is super important these days, because we're not all wired in the same way. So people having to conform in a certain way, I think, is having a lot of impact and effect on their mental health. So absolutely feel free now.
I mean, that's an amazing word to use, isn't it? Free. I mean, it is such a privilege to feel that. That's for sure. It's really interesting. I mean, I know that you came on the second cohort of IAmMe, which was a real honor for me that you were on there. And during that time, you know that my purpose with Ohana Foundation and IAmMe is all about giving people, space and holding space for them to self-discover. And I do, give little guidelines of things to do, but everybody has a different flavor, which is amazing. And one of the exercises that we do is, where is self-love missing in your life? And we have that little wheel, don't we? And the one you're just talking about there is, when I was in corporate, I was terrified to leave, actually. And I was asking myself, why? Why was I terrified to leave, And the reason was, when I did the IAmMe myself, during many courses that I've run and practices, was when I looked at, I don't ask for help very often, right? Because I feel a burden, which is what our friend Charlotte had already said as well.
Yeah.
And actually, I felt that it was the only place, corporate was, and especially the last job I had, was the only place where I felt like I'd belonged. So I was afraid of being lonely. And then when I met all you guys on the EFT practitioners training, I told you that, and you all said simultaneously, you'll never be alone again because we're here. And I swear to God, you have all been here, and it's going to make us.
We have. And I think, we can look at people's upbringing, and if they haven't been supported in their upbringing, or if they haven't had someone that they can rely on, someone that they can ask for help from, then theoretically they're never going to know how to do this because they haven't been taught. So in corporate, I felt protected because there was always a department that I could go to, and it wasn't asking for help. I would just contact this department or the IT department or the HR department, and I just never felt like I was asking for a favor or asking for help. And over the years, I guess if you just can't ask for help, it's because you've never let anyone do it, and also no one's going to do it as good as you.
My goodness, isn't that a thing? Bloody hell! We all believe that we are completely we're control freaks because we become really controlling because we're so busy. We've got families, work, everything, all life, and therefore we have to get things done at a certain time. So therefore, we're just going to get it done. It's all like this rat race, and that's what the real rat race is about. It's nuts.
Exactly where OCD is developed from, is because you're overdoing something and you feel like you can't release that.
Well, I want to go back to because I want people to know a little bit about your experience of IAmMe as a program that you came on, and so I'd really love to hear your kind of views and opinions on it, because there's nothing better than somebody who's actually experienced it firsthand to help me to articulate what it is and the experience that you actually receive for yourself during it. And I know the first week we kind of very much talk about an anchor question, which is every I certainly, I don't prescribe, but for myself, I do every morning. How can I love myself even more right now, in the mirror, just to regulate my nervous system, and high five myself. And I just wondered what your experience of the kind of the program was. And I'm not going to be prescriptive, but what's the kind of things that jump out at you for you, Sharon?
Well, it was obviously, there was a 6-week program. So, firstly, it gave me the opportunity to give myself the time and headspace just for me each week to show up. And I don't think prior to that I gave myself any time, because I just gave all my time to others. So it gave me the time and the ability to reflect in. I was going to show up every week because I didn't want to let everyone else down that particularly, would have been waiting for me online. And of course you. So I didn't want to not show up. And it just made me accountable for my showing up, my life, what I wanted to do, and to take a look at me, because I've never ever had a real look at me. And no one in the past really would say, oh, you're this or you're that or you're whatever. So, I really, it's nice to judge me about me, the real me, not corporate me, just me. So that was absolutely beautiful. And actually to have the time to think about what I am, what I want to be, what I'm doing, my journey, actually what have I done in my life, what I want to reflect on. So it just gave me the platform and the support from the cohort that was on the journey with me to say it's okay to feel like this, or, it's okay to think like this. And, the support from everyone else on that journey was absolutely incredible.
And I think that's really amazing, because that's the one thing I find about it is that, okay, you can, it's 1 hour, we connect for 1 hour every week. I give like suggested exercises, like little workbooks every week for you to do by yourself, for you, by you. And then we connect for 1 hour as a group. And you don't have to share anything, as you well know, but like the sharing of other people together is so rich, because you learn.
Yeah. Some of the things that were coming up from others were things that perhaps I was going through, which I never thought I was. And the sharing actually started my journaling journey, to start manifesting and start journaling as well, on a daily basis. So it was just great to have the support, because it was almost like a soul sister support, rather than just walking down the street with people that aren't aligned to your values. So I think that's another thing from the corporate world, is there was, everyone was very kind and very professional in the corporate world along the way, but they not everyone was aligned to my values. And I was just fighting me every day. So it definitely started me on the journey to becoming me. And it was very empowering.
Oh, I love that. And tell me about the journaling, because I know some people have a real visceral reaction to journaling, and I actually, I don't journal every day, but I try, right? Because what I think the written word is absolutely critical, and the reason I think it is because you can really, you're documenting it, and then you can start reflecting and get some insights about yourself and how you're feeling.
Yeah.
I just want to know what you think about journaling, and what advice you would give people who maybe think, oh, I don't know if I'd like to journal. No, you don't have to.
No, of course.
Always, right?
Well, before I started journaling, I probably, had thought about, or maybe doing it. Friends were doing it, colleagues were doing it. And I'm thinking, oh God, okay, I'll get the book out, and I'll get my pen out, and I'll sit here. And I was thinking, well, I really don't know what to write. Where do I start with this? So I gave up with it. And then obviously from the program, I think the reason why I didn't know what to write was I hadn't given myself the time to think. And my head wasn't clear enough, because I'm always busy in trying to keep everyone else happy and support everyone else. So I hadn't actually thought, what do I need? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What emotions am I thinking? And then I kind of worked out that if I actually put this down on paper, it's going to be a weight off my mind. And when if it's in your mind, it becomes a bigger problem, because all of those little things in your mind become a bigger issue for you, even though when you talk to another person or a friend or, a confidant, they'll say, there's no problem. All of them little problems, by writing them down each day. And also I've been manifesting about what I want to happen in the future. And it's bizarre, because I can look back and it's not kind of deja vu or hindsight. These things have actually been happening, because I think I'm feeding through to what I would like my path to look like and what I want my future to look like, which is being
intentional. So you're actually intending, you're being intentional through your journaling then, and you're seeing things come to light. So then you're believing. So you've got this belief now.
Yeah. So obviously I had a lot of kind of inner critic, self-belief along my kind of healing journey, really. But since I've been manifesting and writing stuff down, I just feel like I'm more in control. Much more confident, self-belief. And I think one of the exercises that really got me was receiving a letter from one of my best friends. My best friend Heidi, she wrote me a letter, and I was like, oh my God. And when I was reading this, I was like, do you really feel like that about me? Is this me? Is this me? And she was telling me about how, all the wonderful things that she could see in me, but we never ask anyone to say, write me a letter, tell me what you think of me, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. And, and that that was the hardest thing probably out of the 6 weeks, was just receiving a letter.
And I think it's the receiving, right? We do not receive at all. I mean, even if somebody gives you a compliment, you'll find yourself going, oh no, this old thing, I've had it for ages. And you're always invalidating that other person's compliment to you, right? But when you actually say, thanks, Heidi, I've received that. She probably was beaming because she's like, thank you, because it's true. What I feel about you is true. And it was so quick to diminish. Yeah, but I really love, and that's what we talk about on the IAmMe, it's really important to start receiving and really letting it go into your system. Because look at the smile on your face when you're even recounting it. Do you know what I mean?
Accepting. I mean, when I talk to her, she's like, you've always been this kind of person. You've always been like that. But I just couldn't see it. And reading it, I was like, oh, okay, so I am this, or I am that, or I am, and I think on the other side, if there was a lot of negative stuff, it's learning, because no one's perfect. And I think that's
important as well, that you do need to face into those negatives and shadows and go, ooh, because whether we've got good, there's always a little bit of black, Yeah. And you kind of go, oh, am I like that? Is that true? Let me just look at that. And then you probably find it. I mean, it's hard to look at yourself like that, but I think, again, it gives you an opportunity to start looking at stuff. Yeah. And in terms of, I think, the anchor question, like, how can I love myself even more right now? How did that sit with you during this 6 weeks and beyond and now?
I'd never ever thought about loving myself before. I'd never had, that kind of question to myself, or thought, do I need to have self-love? Because I've just had to be whoever I've had to be at that moment in time to survive in life and to support my family and bring my family up. So it was always about the love for others, or holding the space for others. So how can I love myself any more than I do right now? It was just spending that time holding that space for me, and actually being in a room without any noise. Just that pureness, that calm, that no interruptions, and not feeling guilty for sitting down.
I know, because quite often we feel it's selfish, right? And this is the one thing, the myth that we need to bust, that loving yourself is definitely not selfish, right? And actually, it's not easy, because we're taught, to your point, you're talking about, you give it to everybody else, all the love and all the attention. And we're also taught that it's selfish, and it's not. It's like putting on your own, I know it's a bit of a cliche and a bit corny, but putting your own, your mask, your one on, yeah, when you're on the airplane, they tell you that before you put on your child. It's the same thing, right? But yeah. I mean, did you notice, or did people notice the difference in you? So for, I know that when I use that saying, I use it a lot, and I even use it a lot during the days, especially when I'm feeling a little bit triggered, because I've recognized and learned that it calms me down before I then engage, right? And I know that when I've been in particularly, feeling challenged around being a mother, I've actually done it, and I become softer because I'm being softer to me. And I wondered if you had any experiences that you can point to.
I think that by holding more self-love and more time for me, I'm able to give better to my family and hold space for them more than when I was giving them all the time without giving it to me. So I don't quite know what happened, but, I never would have sat down for an hour with a book. I never would have sat down. The husband comes in, I'm like, quick, where's the duster? Where's the hoover? I've been really busy all day. I always felt like I had to justify the busyness all the time. But when my son or my daughter was speaking to me, was I really listening? No, because I was full, And now, by filling up my own glass, which is one of your analogies, if your cup is full, you can obviously help others. I just feel like the quality of my listening has increased, and there's this attraction now to people that are now coming to talk to me because I've got more self-love. There's like an attractor thing going on. I can't tell you. Everyone keeps coming up to me and they're so aligned to my value. So again, for me, where did they come from? Where where have you been all my life? You're just so special. I've got friends that I've known for years and best friends, and I'm just like, where do these people come from? Because I've not seen you in the last 25 years of corporate.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really interesting that as well, isn't it? Because I'm experiencing the same. It's like I used to be like, I'm a recovering pleaser, and actually when I'm attracting people into my environment, like yourself and the others. And then I don't have the need to be seen like I used to have the need to be seen, because of course I'm like, please see me, because I need to be included. Now I find I'm so much more content with me.
Yeah.
And I know that it sounds, but it's really what we do in IAmMe. They're quite simple exercises for self, but they're not simplistic because it is a practice, right? You have to continue to practice for sure.
Yeah.
And then, the big idea that we talk about, well, what's your dream? What are you going to do? How are you going to make yourself that, in the world? That's quite challenging for people, isn't it? And how did you find that when you had to?
I just felt like the dream had already arrived, because of like, there wasn't anything in my dream, because I thought I was happy, and I was happy, but I don't think I ever appreciated what I had and where I was. And like now I can walk along the beach, I can walk in the woodlands, or, I can go away and spend time with my friends and family. And it's almost like I've got these glasses on, like, and I call them like dream glasses, because everything that was always there, it's different now. And I think that's my dreams come true now, because you can only take one day at a time, one moment at a time. And I just think that's my dream, because as long as every day is a good day and my family and my friends and everyone around me are fully supported. And I think they're starting to do a bit of this now. It's a kind of, it's like it's contagious, isn't it? The dominoes are starting to,
but it is contagious, isn't it?
Yeah, it is contagious. And, I've kind of spoken to so many people, and yeah, this is going to be a kind of a revelation, Wendy. Ohana Foundation's going to be out there doing this for everyone.
It's so amazing to have a mission that's about, it's about empowering people to feel safe to love themselves, because, there's people feel that you have to be on that rat race, but actually loving yourself is a really, really top priority, and it shouldn't be a radical act. And the reason I claim it's a radical act is because we don't talk about it enough, and we hide it. And it shouldn't be a radical act, but at the minute it is, because like it feels quite radical that we're actually talking about this on this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The one thing another thing I'd like to just explore with you is, in terms of tapping, because I introduced tapping into it because obviously we became EFT practitioners, and I always love to end the session with a bit of tapping. Now, some people get quite confronted because they think they have to be perfect. Remember, there's always this be perfect going on, right? With people, you don't have to be perfect at all, right?
Absolutely.
That is amazing, right? What did you think when we introduced that? How did that? Because of course we were just starting our journey. How did you feel that was helping?
Well, obviously, since I found tapping, it's just so relaxing. It will take you out of fight or flight mode. It can solve so many problems and issues that you're facing on a day-to-day basis. It can get some people outside the door in the morning if they're having a complete panic, reducing the cortisol levels. And I just found that by doing that at the end of the session, it really kind of gets you in deeper to how you're feeling, reducing your stress levels, and to be able to maybe implement everything that we had discussed during that session. So I found it super useful. And at the end of it, I was so sleepy, the tapping, because I was so calm and relaxed. I just found that beneficial.
Do you know, I mean, I just want to share on here because it's really important. Like, you and I have stepped out of the corporate world and stepped into these new missions that we've got. And, you mentioned at the beginning of the call that, there's always a financial concern, whatever. And I have to say, last week, I had terrible lower back pain. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? Because I don't normally suffer from that. And when I really started through my journaling, actually, what it was there was a fear of lack. Yeah, of lack of money, lack of, respect, lack of anything, right? Lack of support, but particularly around finances. So I did some tapping every day, every morning around that. And you know what? After 3 days, it left me.
Yeah.
So because it's about looking at the fear, which was an emotional reaction, and of course your body reacts because your body's amazing. It was clearly in the lower back. And I looked up Louise Hay's book,
Holding fear, and you're about being unsupported as well. Yeah.
And I was just like, I know I'm a practitioner, but when you do specifically to yourself and you still see it and feel it, you think, wow, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean?
When you're tapping on a memory from the past as well, and how that correlates with other information going on right now, it's quite strange but true that a lot of these things that people are feeling and emotions are all linked.
And the thing is, though, is that this is what we're doing now, Hannah, this is what IAmMe is. I have and you as well believe this, I know through I Am Alright, is that I want to be able for people to self-care. Right? So tapping, you can do this for yourself. I did it for myself, right? For the back. Loving yourself, you can do it for yourself. The little practices of journaling for yourself. You don't have to do it every day, but just what you feel. Like one word sometimes is all I put down because that one word really resonates with me, right? And then I kind of explore that a wee bit sometimes. Sometimes I don't journal at all, but it's okay because there's no rules to this.
It's your rules.
It's your own rules. And every single person's on their own journey, right? And we're all just holding space for each other because we're not trying to prescribe anything with it.
Right.
But if I was to ask you, would you recommend to people to come on to IAmMe? What would you say from your heart?
I definitely would recommend someone because I actually feel like I have found me now. So I know I am me. I can look in the mirror and say, I love me and I honor and accept me now. And I don't think I would have been able to do that without being on your cohort. So 100%, just give it a go because actually what have you got to lose? I always have that kind of understanding that I give something a go at least once, give it a try. And you have got nothing to lose because it could totally change your life. But actually, even if you're all right, pardon the pun, and you're in a good space and you're emotionally, physically okay, you might be able to share it with somebody else.
I think that's the thing. It's like we have a responsibility for prevention now. Prevention of mental health issues, prevention of issues, of any kind of issues in this life. And I think prevention is starting with self, right? And knowing small things. And it's the small things that can help, right? Because actually, I know that people have to be who they see, right? So we do have a responsibility to understand that. Yeah. And it doesn't need to, and it's not massive, big, huge leaps. It's just it's a way of being and intending to be that way, right?
Absolutely.
Not on a pedestal. I mean, you can fall off the pedestal every minute of every day, but you should know how to get back on it.
Yeah, well, it definitely made a difference to me. And if it just makes a small difference or a big difference to someone, then I would say give it a go.
Well, I'm really advocating at the minute for this prevention of mental health issues, particularly around the adolescence crisis that we've got. And what I'm talking about is not because I don't think I can't solve that, but what I can do through IAmMe is offer the people who support those youngsters, and those young people. And when I talk mental health, it's not just depression, anxiety, it's also like ADHD, all those things, because the people who support them, it's so difficult to watch a loved one or somebody you care for at schools go through it. So I really believe that you have a responsibility to self to really shore up around this. And
it's definitely for everyone. It's not just for the people that are suffering, as you say, it's for the carers of those people, because they ultimately I mean, if you said to everyone in the whole world, can you give me one thing that you're not happy with? They would be able to give you one thing that they're not happy with.
Exactly. And it's really interesting. One of the things that I was told, one of my team did some research around suicide in males, actually. And men are the most, and I hate using the word, it feels wrong to use it, but I haven't got better words, so I'm just going to use it, are the most successful at killing themselves, right? So there's a higher rate of males who die through suicide because, and it's not, when we looked at the research, it's not because they're depressed, it's because they're lonely. Mm-hmm. And there's a lovely story, I say lovely because it taught me something, was this man shared and said that he was having suicidal thoughts and he was in London and he decided that he would go out for a walk because he was willing somebody to talk to him and break that feeling, which what tapping does, it breaks those feelings, right? So it's a really great thing for that. Now we know that, but this man was out walking, willing somebody to talk to him, and nobody did. Now, luckily, he walked for so long that he managed to reduce his own desire to do that, to live to tell us this tale. But the thing is, though, what I've learned is from that is you should acknowledge people and just say hello, or good morning, or I love your hair today, or whatever, because you just don't know who life you're impacting. And being human is so important. But I think you can do that when your cup's full, you feel so good that you can give that, share that. And it was last night, I was on a call with a dear colleague who I've not seen since 2018, but she's come back into my life. That's not a surprise. It's beautiful. And she actually said to me that, because I'm a real cuddler. Oh my God, I'm so tactile. I mean, sometimes I have to be very careful and ask people, are you okay if I cuddle you? But anyway, she said to me that she hated where she was working, where we were working at the time. And her father was really, really ill. And she said one of the things that she loved was I used to walk in, welcome her and give her a big hug. And she used to say in meetings, if I was in a meeting, she'd go, I'll be all right, Wendy's in the meeting. And I never knew that until last night. And I really received that. But what that proved to me is everything I'm saying about how to say hello, welcome people, I didn't know she was suffering. But yet, and we weren't even having this conversation last night. She just wanted to share that with me. And it just was validating. You must. Because I've been told, oh, you're too much, you're too this, you're too that, you're too the next thing. But actually, being me is wonderful. Helped her. Yeah? Be yourself. I am me. And be comfortable, because you just don't know whose life you're impacting. And you should be impacting yourselves first. And then obviously that kindness will. So don't let other people's stuff stop you. So I think, is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish today?
Well, I deeply accept and completely love and accept myself. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come on to your cohort, Wendy.
Oh, thank you so much for being in my life, actually, Sharon, first of all, and also for coming on the cohort and supporting me. Because every time I do a cohort, I learn so much more to even share with the next cohort, and I'm truly grateful for being in this space right now. But thank you so much, and great luck, and much success to you, your family, and to I'm All Right, because it's going to be absolutely off the chart, and I know that. And thank you for all. Bye. Till next time. Bye, Sharon. Bye.